Hey, okay. I am at the airport and I just got into San Francisco Airport, and so I wanted to do a Facebook Live about healthy workplace culture again because I'm going to try to do one for every work day of April, and every work day, every day that I work in April, I want to offer you something that I hope will be helpful for you to create a healthy workplace culture. So, um, most of you probably know me. I'm Meredith Hawley. I'm a lawyer and a certified life coach and best-selling author, and I help women stop sexual harassment without quitting their jobs. And one of the ways I do that is by working with companies and managers, business owners, HR people on creating a healthy workplace culture to prevent a toxic work environment. So I'm sorry for the shaky camera, but I'm in the airport. And so let me know if you can hear me. I don't know if my comments are going to come up since I'm on my phone. But hopefully they do. Let me know if you can hear me if you're on this. So what I want to talk to you today about is the number one key component to creating a healthy workplace culture. So most of us have had an experience of working in a work environment that feels really healthy and really productive, and then many of us have had, if not all of us, have had the experience. I hope you can still hear me. They're like giving important information, of having the experience of working in a workplace culture that's not healthy, that's toxic or unproductive, harassing, bullying, things like that. So I'm going to talk to you today about the number one key component that I've found to creating a healthy workplace culture where you are. So a lot of people kind of think, oh, this is my employee's job. I shouldn't be worried about creating a healthy workplace culture. And I mean, there is the human component of creating a healthy workplace culture, right? It feels terrible to feel like you're being bullied, to feel like you're being targeted. But the other problem with an unhealthy workplace culture is that people are very unproductive. I've had experiences of having hours and hours and hours of conversations with unhappy employees, where it just feels like complaining, because the culture itself in the workplace was so unproductive and so unhealthy. So what you want to ask yourself is, how much time is your workplace already taking and how much energy are your employees putting into fear that they're going to get fired, for example, into avoiding conflict with somebody who might be aggressive. So not only this is a real money suck if you're only worried about money. But beyond that, most employers want their employees to be happy. So we want to protect people from an unhealthy workplace culture. We want to protect people from bullying, from harassment. But most of us just don't know how. And so that leads to us getting really frustrated and feeling like some people just can't be helped, or even worrying that maybe there's something wrong with our workplace if we're getting complaints about harassment, discrimination, things like that. What a lot of people do is they think, maybe if I just ignore it, it'll go away. Maybe there's just something wrong with this particular situation. But it's kind of like if you have a broken leg. If your strategy is to ignore your broken leg, it doesn't get better. If anything, it gets way worse, right? So ignoring it usually makes it worse. And then the other problem that I see people run into is it's easy for us to see our own experience of anxiety, our own experience of bullying. When we feel targeted, when we feel like someone's coming after us, we can feel that in our bodies, right? We can feel that panic, the fear, the anger, the sense of injustice. But when it's somebody else, a lot of times what I see happen is it's hard for us to really understand other people's problems, so they can seem annoying and like a waste of time, and we can even like feel frustrated with them. So what I want to do in this Facebook Live is kind of give you some tips about like what you can proactively do to avoid that situation where you are like worrying that you're handling things wrong, or where things are getting worse and worse because they're getting annoyed. Usually what we really want is we want to just work with happy people, like whether we're an employee or whether we're an employer, we want to work with other people who are happy, and like that's not always how things start out, right? So I want to talk to you about the number one thing that you can do to get to that healthy, productive place that we all kind of want to see, without the embarrassment of worrying that you did something wrong to put employees in danger, that you did something wrong to create the stress that people are experiencing at work. Okay, so the number one thing that I have seen lead to creating a healthy workplace culture is developing a policy where you look forward to employee complaints. Okay, and don't like leave if that sounds terrible to you. Like, I know that might sound awful. And I'll talk a little bit about some objections that I hear from people in a little bit, and I totally get it if that sounds terrible. And so part of that component, part of looking forward to an employee complaint, and the way to look forward to employee complaints, is to know that you have a system to respond effectively to every employee complaint to make your workplace productive and efficient. So when you know that an employee complaint is a way to move towards more productivity and more efficiency, then you can genuinely look forward to it, not in like a fake way, and not in a way that like distracts from the work that you really want to do in your company, right? Okay, so the mistake that I see most employers and managers make is that they treat complaints themselves, like the complainant, the person complaining, like they are a problem. And so like you have to think, when an employee brings forward a complaint, they are automatically giving you a key into a problem that employee wants to work to solve. And that solving that problem is gonna make your business better. When we avoid complaints, when we're afraid of complaints, we push them away, and that's like ignoring the broken leg, right? And if you ignore a broken leg, it doesn't heal, or it heals wrong. And so what you want to do is know that you have a solid system to respond. Like, we go to the hospital when we have a broken leg. So like statistically, we know that about 75, this is Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the federal agency that handles employee complaints, estimates that about 75% of discrimination and harassment does not get reported. And so even if it feels like you're receiving too many complaints, you're likely not receiving enough to really address harassment, discrimination, retaliation, and the way that it interferes with your business. So when we don't know about a problem and we ignore it, we can't solve it. And what I even see happen that's worse is when I see employers avoid complaints or treat complainants like they're the problem, it ends up aligning the employer, who might not have intended to do anything wrong, with the harasser, who might have intended to do something wrong. So you have to think, whose side do you want to be on? The employee who raised an issue and didn't do anything wrong, or the employee who is like maybe a danger to your company. So I just want to break this down in numbers and give you a little example about it so that it'll make sense. So about 40%, I'm just going to do the sexual harassment example because that's my primary work, but also because there's better polling and better statistics about sexual harassment than there is about race discrimination, disability discrimination, sexual orientation, religion, all the other protected classes. There's a lot more that I've found better polling. But if you find that other polling on that, totally send it to me on like the other forms of harassment. So I'm going to talk about sexual harassment right now. So about 40% of women say that they've been sexually harassed in the workplace. About 1 in 5 women says that she's left a career because of sexual harassment. And these statistics we pretty much know are much worse for race, disability, sexual orientation, the characteristics that are more openly targeted in society than gender. So for example, the EEOC gets about 3,000 or 4,000 more race discrimination complaints a year than gender discrimination complaints. So we know that this is much worse when it comes to race. Okay, so think about that. So 40% of women harassed at the workplace, 1 in 5 is leaving their career. If they're not being harassed in the workplace, then they're likely being harassed outside of the workplace. So 81% of women say that we've been harassed at one point or another. So think about the demographics in your business. If you have a little over 50% of women working for your business, like there is just in general society, you should expect probably about 20% of your workforce to be complaining about harassment, because that's just how humans are experiencing it. It's not about your company being good or bad. It's not about you doing something wrong. You likely have people who don't understand how to manage power dynamics and who feel and are experiencing some form of discrimination. So like in real numbers, say you have 50 employees and 27 of those are women, then you should be getting complaints from about 10 or 15 of those women. And then more when it comes to race. And so like, if you don't want to help resolve harassment and discrimination, then that's your choice. But what we know is that having an inclusive workplace, having a workplace with diverse backgrounds, diverse characteristics, all these like protected classes makes your business more creative. So the thing we have to do is just resolve these issues effectively. Okay, and so you probably have thought this all along, like, I don't want my whole job to be listening to employee complaints, and I 100% agree. But here's the thing. Would you rather resolve employee complaints efficiently when they come up, or would you rather push them off and then lose employees later, or like face lawsuits later because you haven't resolved them? It is so much more efficient and cost effective to resolve these complaints. It's so much more productive for you, and it lets your employees get back to work and feel empowered to do their work and feel focused and not have like 80% of their brain focused on protecting themselves, right? This is one of those areas where upfront investment saves you time and money later. And then like I also know, and I think this is a super legit point, so maybe I just made it up, but I think that there's also a like objection to this that's like something like, if I'm looking for employee complaints, aren't I going to be creating more employee complaints? And that's totally fair, I think, obviously. So I made up this thought, and I think you don't want to be looking for and creating employee complaints or assuming that they're there if the employees are not actually experiencing a problem. Like, that can become a problem in itself. So what you want to do instead is you want to create a safe space and a safe environment where employees know that you welcome the problems that they're already experiencing, that you are comfortable and capable of resolving and making space for the problems that they're already experiencing so that they can solve those problems and then move back to their work, right? So creating a safe space means both listening when someone's talking to you and having an effective response. So the only effective response that I have seen that I know about is a power dynamics model of response. So teaching your employees who are experiencing harassment and discrimination how to take power in those situations and how to effectively stop the harassment and discrimination without leaving their job, without isolating themselves, without feeling like they're the problem for bringing up the issue. This can make your whole workplace more communicative, more efficient, and when your employees are feeling empowered to create a better environment, they're creating a more productive, more efficient environment. So this is what I'm teaching in my new Power Dynamics Facilitator training. And so I would love to have you join me this Thursday, which is April 4th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to do just a short webinar about what the facilitator program includes, how what I teach about the power dynamics model of response. And if you want to join me, just send me a message or write a comment, and I would love to have you. And then, yeah, I think that's all I had to share with you. Let me see if I have any other notes. I think I'm going to go get on my plane back to Portland. But thank you for joining me. Let me know what questions you have and come join my webinar on Thursday. Send me a message and join the class. Okay, bye.